Welcome back to Broken Bobby's transformation page. In the late 80s, I became involved with drugs and would eventually become part of that lifestyle of trafficking, addiction, and violence. Over the next 20 years, I would be in and out of jail and prison. If you're thinking about trying something or you're dealing with addiction, your life don't need to go down the same path mine did. I hurt a lot of people, both physically and emotionally. These are my stories of how I transformed my life, and you can too. Let's get in. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. If This is how the Southerners move in LA County Jail, and these are just my observations. I did not run with the Southerners, so I'm not trying to pretend like I got their politics down or anything like that. This is just what I seen and my experience of kicking it with a lot of Southerners on the street. But these are some stories from LA County Jail and what I have seen. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, smash that like button, drop a comment, and be sure to share the video. It's really helping us to grow. We're quickly approaching 1,100 subs, and I want to thank you all for that. From the newest to the day ones, shout out to all of you guys. I really appreciate you. And I appreciate everybody tapping in on the lives as well. Those are interesting to say the least. So the Southern homies basically run the LA County Jail, if I'm keeping it 100. They're very deep. Some estimate as much as 40% of the LA County Jail is Southern Hispanics. There's tons of gang members. Everybody's basically a gang member down there. You know, there's all these gangs in LA, and this is, you know, their home basically. So this isn't to take anything away from the other groups in there, but from what I've seen, division amongst the black groups, and there's just not enough whites that are down to ride to even, you know, compare basically. And this is in the places that I've been in LA County Jail. You know, there's a lot of other places in LA County Jail that I never seen. So, you know, I can't speak on that stuff. All I can speak on is the places where I've been. So, you know, the thing about the homies, the Southern homies, is they move as a unit, you know, and the beefs from the streets are left there. And that's, you know, for whatever reason that is. I'm not going to speculate. Like I said, it's not my politics, but I have a pretty good idea. And, you know, if one jumps, they all jump, you know. You know, I've seen situations with other groups such as my own where, you know, one guy's heading to prison and he's down to ride, and the other guy's in there on a DUI and hoping to bail out later on tonight. So obviously you have different levels of inmates in the different groups. And I'll give you a couple of examples of where I've seen these guys in action, and they can be savage with it. So I was in the IRC, which is like the inmate reception center, I guess. I guess that's what it's called. I'm not sure. If I'm wrong on that one, drop a comment and tell me what that actually is. But there was an Asian cat in the holding cell. There was probably 20 of us in there in a holding cell with enough bench space for maybe 8 to 10. So it was a little crowded in there. And one of the Southsider homies hit up the Asian fool about where he was from. Now, what I was told is at that time there was a green light on TRG, which is the Tiny Rascal Gang. That I think they may have started in Long Beach. I've had some experiences on the streets with them as well. And these guys are with the business too, you know. So one of the homies hit him up about where he was from, and he said where he was from, and you know, I think he knew what was about to happen, but you know, he was about his business as well. And there was probably 10 Southsiders in there, and they all got on his ass, and they beat this dude viciously. Like I just like stood up out of the way on the on the concrete bench and tried to put as much distance between myself and what was going on in there because it wasn't my business. But man, they beat this guy really bad. Like that was one of my first experiences with seeing something, somebody really savagely beaten. And eventually the guards would sound the alarm and open the door. And what they like to do down there is they'll open the door and just spray some OC or pepper spray into the holding cell, which basically that pepper spray, we'll call it, doesn't discriminate if whether you're involved or you're not involved. Oh man, you are not going to be able to breathe, and it's rough. So yeah, they broke it up and got the guys out of there that they needed to get out of there, and moved a bunch of us to different cells. When you're in the IRC, it's a long hallway of cells on either side, and they just shuffle you around from one to the other basically. So that's my first example of them in action. I would eventually end up in 9500, which is infamous in the LA County Jail. It's a very large dorm with way too many people in it. And I was working in the kitchen at this time. I was a trustee. And I come back, and that was one of the places where there were some good solid woods in there. It was mostly parole violators that were being housed in there at this time. And the homie from San Fernando Pig that I've spoken about in the past, he tells me, hey, stay over here where we're at because something may be going down here shortly. And what I heard was that one of the blacks had a weapon. He had made a piece and he had it, and somehow the Southsiders got wind of that. And basically, they gave an ultimatum that he was to get rid of the weapon or they were going to kick it off. And the black individual that had the weapon wasn't willing to give it up. So it kicked off in there. And this was another savage one on both sides, though, because the numbers were pretty even from what I could tell. Like, I was doing my best just to stay the hell out of the way. Like, we didn't involve ourselves in that one either. And once again, pepper balls and pepper spray, like, this stuff don't discriminate, like I said before, So, yeah, it was bad. But, it was what it was. And, they ended up moving a bunch of people out on that one as well. And it would eventually kick off again because, people want to get their run backs. If you got the short end in the last one, chances are you want to, get your run back. And, that happened a few times, and eventually they would move all the blacks and Southsiders out of there and start bringing new ones in to finally quell that situation. So there was another one where I was in Medium North, and this was one of my first times being at LA County. Medium North, if you've never been there, this is at the Wayside, also, Pitches Detention Center, also known as Wayside. And in Medium North, these are their dorms, basically. There's like a brick wall about midway, and then there's like some picnic tables, and I believe the shower is out there and the phones, and then you have a bunk area to the back. And, I'm not sure what this one was over, but it kicked off once again between the Southsiders and the blacks, and we would all be pulled out. I was semi-involved in that one. It was what it was. There wasn't a bunch of woods in there, so I was kind of riding along with the Southsider homies on that one. And, they would take us out onto, it's like a handball court outside, basically, where you would go for your rec. And they kept us out there for what seemed like forever. I'm imagining probably 4 or 5 hours. And what they do is they try to remove the main instigators from the situation and hope that the rest of the people will fall in line. So they bring us back in, and it's a dorm setting. It's not like you're in a cell where they can close the cell door and have you on lockdown. They What they do is they say you're on bunk status. The dorm's locked down, like, oh no, I can't get off my bunk type of thing. So the run back was imminent, and it kicked off again. And like, we just repeated the cycle with this one. Well, after two or three times, I would say, basically they put us all back in there without any clothing. They took all of our mats off of the beds, and all we had was a blanket. And this is well documented that the LA County sheriffs have been known to do this sort of thing. So I'll see if I can find an article to put up here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But then it kicked off again. Like, you would think not having any clothing would finally solve the issue, but a lot of people in jail are hard-headed, and when your soldiers are basically all like-minded, you can take some of the instigators out, but someone else is going to kick it off, basically, until they're satisfied with the end result. And that's what the Southsiders did in that one. So yeah, that went on for probably about a day, about 24 hours by the time it was all said and done. And eventually they ended up moving all the blacks out of that dorm that were left, and that's how that got finished. But for with the Southsider homies, the thing is, these guys are unified in the way that they move. Like I said earlier, if one jumps, everybody's going to jump, and that's all there is to it. Whether the person that sparks the incident is right, wrong, or indifferent, if one of them's fighting, they're all going to fight. And that's the way, when you get to prison, that's typically the way it is with all the races. But especially in the LA County jail, like, these guys are with it. So shout out to the Southsider homies out there. Also shout out to the blacks, and definitely shout out to the Woodpile as well, and the Pisces. I mean no disrespect to anybody in this video in saying that the Southsiders run the LA County, but honestly, the way I've seen it, that's their house. So that's my video for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, smash that like button, drop a comment, and tell me what you think. Do you think I got it right? Do you think I got it wrong? Drop it in the comments, and let's see what you think. Also, share the video. It's helping us to grow. Like I said, we are quickly approaching 1,100 subs, and I appreciate all of you. Without you guys, there would be no reason for this channel, so shout out to you. And there are memberships available now as well. You can hit that join button and take a look at the different levels of membership. And what we're going to be doing is some exclusive content, and probably some exclusive lives as well for members only. So check that out. That's one of the best ways to support the channel. So I appreciate everybody. Family, fitness, and freedom are the things that got me out of that sort of lifestyle, and I feel like they can help you as well. It's just a matter of making good decisions and repeating that. That will help you to get away from the deviant behavior that kept us locked up for so long. Don't look at the mountain, just start climbing.